So we'll do one more on this because I always like to do a follow-up. You never get everything into one specific video, and I don't do any editing, obviously. And I do try to put it on 2 times to save people time, and you can always go up and change the speed. But I like to be able to take my time and think about things a little bit, and a lot of times there's gaps in between what I have to say. So we were talking about homosexuality and how that's seen. And the reason that I'm even using those terms is how it was sort of brandished. This Jonathan B. or Bi channel, B.I. is his last name, and Jeffrey Kripal, a multi-part interview. And the way that it's being suggested and the things that I study on a daily basis and what's being talked about in pervading society today at large, right? And I really go deep into this. In fact, this is the most important thing to me, is that in a macro view, you see these junction points that we talk about, or areas of disruption, but from a retrocausal set. And I'm not talking about the retrocausality that we know on a genericized, simplified methodology. Or when I discuss the observer effect, I realize full well what's going on there, but a lot of times I don't do videos on it. I don't like to do a lot of videos. It's amazing that I even have an EPL hub.
Got a phone call. We'll get into this a little bit. I'll do another part on this, but it's basically to do with energetics, disruption, and intentional junction points at specific times. Maybe I'll be able to keep doing this. I'll just call him back. It's my son. He's celebrating my other son's birthday today, so the relatives might be.
So I'm going to call him back. But if the sound's picking up on this, let's just finish this up. Let's give it 2 more minutes. It's that the things that happen to an individual, when we say individual, we're using this loosely because this is exactly what's being attacked, is their individuality, them becoming developed, and thereby drawing in and affecting the spherical energetics surrounding them. And I would hearken to say that if you have 8 billion fully developed people, you have an extremely explosive worldview there, because when we are fully developed, and I don't think human beings does us justice, and I'd like to even come up with a term for that. I did call this Iman or Iman, that's I and man in the past writing, but I think that this concept expands beyond that, and I even have used the term many years ago, a decade ago, Ubergot, because I think that that's where this whole thing's going, and I've written 2 articles recently that really expound on that and get into it. But to say that, just like if you were to look at the World Trade Centers happen on a particular date at a particular time and were to be witnessed and then regarded the way that they were over the course of time, and that if you begin to see these as retrocausal events, just like the so-called pandemic and all the things that were going on there, right? That history can be rewritten, reappropriated, and you don't. When you get into retrocausality, you don't even have to have anything metaphysical or spiritual taking place there. You can simply just begin to bend the narrative, as media groups do, and political organizations. Let's not just roast them, right? As media call-outs and synthesizing media-based filters, but that to shape you and to know that certain things happen to you, and not only you, but people under your same personality variant, under your same zodiacal sign, certain lineage or batch grouping, which I also refer to as like a spiritual type DNA, right? Where you can be born of a certain family, but you come in contact with certain people where you feel like you have a history with them, right? And we could get into Ian Stevenson and shared information, or the fact that the bioelectrical field within us and the eon field around us, and then all the optics. I wrote an article about this. We have over 28,000 Hertz signatures, right? And we're only experiencing about 3% of that as human beings. We have over 28,000 light spectrum anomalous world experiencing world altering, world filtering events that aren't available to us but are happening, and we're, from an extrasensory perspective, we're aware of that phenomenon, right? And that if we could see that, and we could see these strands, these strings of time, and the assaults that are done on us, and the sway and the development or lack thereof when we were born, when we were conceived.
I'm going to say I'm going to end there, and I may not even put this up. Got things to do, but maybe it'll turn out a little better than I thought for a part 2 of the series. Talk to you soon.